A Christian mind is not one that is trained to think only about Christian topics. It is a mind that has learned to think about everything from a Christian perspective.
We have to understand God rightly to know him intimately.
It is the gospel that orients my thinking on every other issue.
You can know, if you're trusting in Jesus, that every single atom in this universe is working for your good.
That's why I'm sticking with Jesus. Not because he always does what I want him to do. I'm sticking with Jesus because I just haven't found any better alternative.
Hey, Charlemagne, are we live?
This guy will always
do it.
Every single episode.
every
single episode.
Sorry, I had to.
Well, we had a few.
We were just talking about the Breakfast Club, guys. It makes sense. It's
we
relevant.
actually was just talking about the
To be
Breakfast
fair.
Club.
Mm.
Black Berea, we are back.
We
October,
are back in the building.
2025.
Welcome back, guys.
How you guys doing? It's been a long. I think the last time we recorded was it
I think
July?
it was June. No,
Yeah,
I think
July.
June,
Was it
guys.
It was
we let
July.
It was
Yeah,
June.
July.
Yeah.
11th of July is when our last.
Yeah.
episode
Oh,
went out.
okay. Oh no, I wasn't there.
So we've been away for a while. Been on 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
How you guys
Wow.
been?
Yeah, good. It's been a good summer. I'll give it a solid 7.
Solid
Yes.
7. Why
Definitely.
7?
I think the weather's been good. I think I've been to a few motives here and there. Went to a wedding at the start of the summer. It's just been nice. It's just
You
been
know, I've not
nice.
had any weddings. I think I've had like one wedding this year.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It's no different, yeah, to what I'm used to.
I think I've had 2 and I've got 1 more.
I'm even trying to remember the one.
I've only had one this year as a guest.
That's a lie.
As a guest.
Oh, as a
You meant
guest.
to say.
No,
oh,
two.
yeah.
If I include my brother's wedding. Yeah.
How many have you
2.
had as not a guest? As an
Working,
employee?
I don't actually know. Maybe like 15,
That is
16,
wild.
17.
17.
Wild.
Yeah.
I
That
didn't know you
is
get that many
wild.
bookings,
I said
Mary.
5 is a
Damn.
joke.
I am in the wrong career.
You're
That's
crazy.
it.
There's some people that do. Some people that do like 100 weddings a year. Some of these.
Crazy.
There's some of these people with the
100,
wedding some of these wedding vendors. They're doing very, very well.
The
in life.
wedding vendor mafia. I call you guys a mafia, man.
Wow.
Honestly,
They've
you
locked
got
the scene
mafia.
down. They've locked the
Nah,
scene down.
Complete mafia, man.
How was your
You
summer?
need the panorama documentary.
We
There's
come
like a
together and
podcast, a
collude.
wedding venue podcast.
We collude
yeah.
on how to charge
Mm-hmm.
bride and grooms who want to get married. But
Yeah, I know you guys have group chats and that.
yeah,
It's alright.
we set the price and stuff.
You set the price,
Nothing
that's it.
cheaper.
I was told that. I was actually told that specifically from the guy that did my suit.
It makes a lot of sense.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because he was like, "Oh, they can't. Like, one guy can't just charge one price that's like too low, because obviously that affects the market or whatever. So they have to like kind of agree on a rough figure what prices they charge, which I thought was crazy. But
There was a wedding the other day where I think there was 1,500 guests.
You what?
Mary.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think one of the ones you DJ'd at.
No. It was someone that I think a vendor was talking about it, 1,500 guests.
that is
1,500?
crazy. Asian, right?
1,500.
Then
No, I
Nigerian.
don't think they were Asian. I think they were black actually. I'm not sure. They didn't say who it was, but
Mm,
yeah, the wedding
Mm.
industry, people are getting married every day. I think this summer showed me that people are getting married every day.
every day, B.
People are getting married every day.
That's a
But
lot
now,
of people.
aside from weddings, how was everyone's summer? Like Femi and Zoe, what did you guys get up to?
I went to Nigeria.
Oh yeah, how was that?
So it was good, man. Had a great time.
How long were you
One
there
of my-
for? How long were you there?
Just over 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really good. Took my daughter first time on the plane.
Oh,
Oh,
how old is she?
She had the time of her life. I can't even lie. She had the better time than all of us.
I'm
She was
crying.
spoiled. She ate well.
I love it.
Yeah, she had the time of her life, man. To be honest. But I had a good time as well, but no one enjoyed it more than her, boy.
I love that for her. I love
But that
that
was a
for
good
her.
time. Nice.
Did she enjoy the weather change? How did she manage the
It
food
was
and
quite
night?
cold.
Okay.
Well, cold for Nigeria anyway. Like, it was rainy. Yeah, rainy, quite cloudy.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
We didn't really have many hot days, to be fair, which was cool because it was bearable. It was a bit more bearable. There. It was
I've
like-
never been to Nigeria and it's not hot.
Say again?
Unless I was in the north. Unless I was like, well, not north. Unless I was like in Abuja, then
I've never been
everywhere
to
else was
Abuja.
boiling hot.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh
All
wow.
too-
But yeah, I had a good summer. Yeah, man.
Same. I
Mhm.
feel like my summer went very, very quickly, but I definitely had a good time.
Mm.
Definitely had a good time. I can't believe we're in October, and
Yeah, like, it's
Yeah.
alarming.
I already feel like Christmas is
Let's say
tomorrow.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Well,
Merry
Yeah, it's
Christmas.
crazy.
2026, and it's been an eventful summer. I think in terms of something happened recently, I was at a wedding. I was on my way home from the wedding actually, so I was on my phone just checking you're just checking like Instagram and stuff, and I just saw like Voddie Baucham pop up on my screen, and I was just like, oh, what's Voddie announcing? Like, and I just saw that, when you actually see one date to another date, and I was just like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Ended in
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah.
And I literally was like, like,
He screamed.
and my friend was like, what's wrong? And I was like, Voddie Baucham just died, and it was crazy, and I felt so bad. I had to call someone and be like, bro, Voddie Baucham just died, and he was just like, what?
Mm.
So yeah, there was news last week. Voddie Baucham died. I believe it was the 25th of September. So last Friday, as we're recording at the moment, and yeah, he died. I think he was 56. Very, very, very young. Huge loss in the Christian space, I would say. What was your guys' reaction? Like, what are your first thoughts? Like, how would you kind of speak about Voddie, the
I
presence
think I
of
was just
Voddie?
like, huh? Because I think I heard that he had some kind of illness, maybe a couple of years ago, a year ago or something.
Yeah.
And then everything was fine as far as I was concerned. And I don't really, I don't see him unless I'm I'm watching something of his. I don't just see like loads of his clips or stuff like that. So he doesn't come up a lot on my thing. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, similarly. I was like, oh, what's going on? Then I saw, like the dove emoji. I said, huh? Like, and I saw like bare people posting it on their stories. I was just like, what? Like, where's this coming from? And then
Yeah.
No, just really
Sad.
sad. I think I woke up on I think it was the Friday morning. Yeah, the Friday morning, and usually when I grab my phone, the first thing I try and go to is the Bible, so I can just read something before I wake up. But
Pastor Louis.
The right
Wow.
diet. Some people
you
on
lot knew that
Instagram,
something.
Instagram and TikTok is what they know. That's what
No,
they
because
see.
trust me, if I wake up and I'm straight onto Instagram, then that for me is just a spiral for the rest of the day. So like I try for it to be just the Bible. But anyway, as I kind of swiped down on my phone, I saw a message in the group chat that me and Femi are in, and someone was like, I think one of my friends was like, we've lost too many giants in the faith this year. So in my head, I thought it was someone else. I won't even say his name because it actually happened. But I thought it was someone else, and I was like, wait, who passed away now? And I saw Voddie, and I thought, no way, like absolutely no way. But yeah, so I think the first thought that came to my mind was just the fact he's got so many kids, and obviously his wife Bridget. And just really, really sad because, like Zoe said, I know he had some kind of heart surgery last year. It might have even been a transplant. I think it was either a transplant or surgery. So to have that, and then obviously that happened about a year or two later, is just sad. But grateful for him, for his ministry, for all that he's taught. I think one of what I was impacted by most is all of his teachings on just leading as like a husband and a father in the home, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'll be forever grateful for that, and grateful for the fact that all of these kind of teachings are out there for the world to see, even though he's obviously not with us anymore. But rest in peace, Voddie.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, man. Yeah, similar for me. Yeah, just again heard the news, really, really saddened. Like what it does like mean a lot to me, like more than I even gave credit to until we found out of his passing. Like I remember when I was first introduced to him, it was actually, I don't know if people have ever come across it, but it was a video of him talking about why churches don't need youth church. So it was like a long YouTube video about it, just him talking about why we don't need youth church, we don't need Sunday school, blah, 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 blah. And I remember like watching it and feeling like, oh, this guy's really, I had no idea who he was at the time. I was like, this guy's really controversial. I don't know if I agree with everything. Like, this is what I've never heard that take before, that, because we're all just growing up with Sunday school and youth church and stuff like that. So it was like, for me, it was just like super controversial. And it got me quite intrigued about who this person that was speaking. And then obviously, as we all know, his teaching, just the way he speaks, his passion, his knowledge, kind of drew me into more of his sermons and stuff. And as we all have, I think, seen him in person as well. It meant a lot as a teacher. I don't really like, for want of a better word, I don't fan over pastors. I don't very often, but Voddie was always one I was like, oh, Voddie's saying something I really want to listen to. So yeah, man, it was definitely touching to hear of his passing, and rest in peace, and love to his family, man.
Yeah, I feel like Voddie he's kind of similar to like Philip Anthony Mitchell in that whatever camp, whether you're Pentecostal, whether you're Reformed, whatever you believe in, Voddie just appealed to you. Because
Mhm.
even just on my Insta, like the amount of people that were sharing, we agree or disagree on so many different things, and it was like, oh wow, like he just touched so many people because he was very impactful with what he spoke about. Even of course, passionate about the gospel. I remember like why I believe the Bible. I remember watching that
Oh yeah,
so
I watched that
many
recently.
times.
I watched that again recently.
What?
Yeah.
So many times.
Yeah.
And even when you like I met him, I remember he's got 9 kids. I remember he came to my church but 10 years ago. I was even going through my phone and looking at the pictures and thinking, wow, we're old. And we met him and he's like a larger than life character, but he was super, super warm. But when you talk to him, he just believed what he believed. And he went backing down for no one. And it was just, and it's so interesting because I had people that day that were like, oh, when I see Voddie, I'm going to tell him about this and tell him about that. And then they now went to tell him and he now told them. And it was just so funny to see, like, this guy is a presence, but he was very, very warm.
Yeah.
And he was very, very kind as well. Like he really he made time for people, and he cared about that relationship more than just preaching and teaching. And I think my experience with him, he definitely had a big pastoral heart that didn't just lend itself to get on the pulpit, leave, go in one corner, hide away. He genuinely wanted to immerse himself with God's people, and I found that deeply, deeply encouraging. And I met him multiple times, and every time I met him, he wasn't like, "Oh, I'm Voddie." He was like, "No, I'm just like you, man." So
Yeah.
I found that very encouraging.
Yeah.
I found that very encouraging, man.
That's do you know that's how I actually heard of your church, by the way, Mary.
It's crazy. Yeah, I think I remember we got to church that day because I came with him, his family, a few other people had gone to pick him up, and I walked into church and I just saw bare people, and it was crazy because I met people that day and I was just like, how did you know? I was just online. I was thinking, right, like I think Voddie just crossed so many people, like in terms of how he taught the Bible wasn't so like reformed or evangelical. It was just he taught the Bible in a way that whether you're Pentecostal, whatever you believed,
Yeah.
you could really, really like, you could
100%.
grasp it.
Yeah.
He was very relatable in that way.
If you can't
and
say it, then you gotta say ouch.
them punchlines and stuff, like
Yeah.
he loved the engagement in the crowd. He almost preached like a Pentecostal, very HB Charles in that way. And I found his preaching very encouraging. But obviously, devoted husband, devoted father as well. So
Yeah. Shout
Shout
out to
out to
Voddie.
Voddie, man.
Shout out to Voddie, man. Shout out to Voddie. Shout out Voddie Baucham, man. That's a big loss.
And the clip, the clip that's been going around when he talks about, when he says, "Oh, if you hear rumors of my demise, they are not true because I'm not gone. I'm with the Lord."
Yeah.
Even just that, the way he said that, it was just like so powerful. But obviously, it means more relevant now. So
For sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
definitely.
So many people sent me that clip and I was just like, and I think about Voddie, he was a crier as well. So we're saying that just crying. I don't think this big man is just in tears, but
Passionate, man.
he's very, very right that he's not gone, man. He's with the Lord.
But guys, listeners, if you haven't checked out any of his sermons, man, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah,
Good
for
book,
sure.
good books.
100%.
What he must be to date my daughter is really, really good.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, I remember that one.
Yeah, I read that a few years ago. That's a really good book. So yeah, definitely recommend.
Oh, it's
That's
a
a great
book.
book to
I think it
start.
was a sermon.
No,
Check.
it's a book.
That's a book.
Yeah, it's a book.
Yeah.
It's a book. He's got so many sermons. I mean, Why I Believe the Bible is a great one.
Yeah.
He's just got so many. He's got so many sermons.
What I'd say about him as well is, and I guess it should be kind of true for every preacher, but after the end of each sermon, you always felt like you had a choice to make. Like you can't just listen to Voddie and be like, "Oh, that was really cool. I feel encouraged," or "I feel a bit tingly inside." You always had a choice to make. That's one thing I loved about Voddie.
Yeah. Whew. Shout out, man, like Voddie.
Shout out Voddie.
And I swear this, we're talking about death a lot, but of course, one death recently that kind of rocked. See, the American landscape, political violence was the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So on, I think, September the 10th, he was at a rally in Utah, and whilst he was at that rally, I think it was his Turning Point organization event, the comeback tour. He was shot and he was killed. And I'm not sure if have they arrested the shooter? Yeah, they have arrested the shooter.
Yeah.
And that sent shockwaves over the internet. I was in so many group chats as this was just jumping off and back. But yeah, what was your guys' response and reaction to initially, and then of course now like the fallout from Charlie Kirk's death? So yeah, he was 33. No, 31. Sorry,
31, yeah.
31.
Young man.
Very, very, very young. Of course, horrific incident that he was assassinated.
I think I definitely knew his face, but I didn't know his views. So I was somewhere else, and someone mentioned that this person, they mentioned his name and that he'd died, whatever, late. And then later, I think someone, I saw, I still couldn't see who it was, but I kept hearing the person's name, whatever. Then I now see, the first thing I saw were like loads of responses, like or loads of like people saying, people I know, people I don't know, putting up statuses saying, or RIP, or, scriptures, or saying he was a martyr for the Christian faith. And honestly, my initial reaction was, I actually didn't know, although I have seen him a lot, and I think it's the algorithm thing, I've seen her a lot, I didn't know he was a Christian. I didn't even mean that in the sense that I knew he claimed to be a Christian. I thought he wasn't. I didn't even know he claimed to be a Christian. I didn't know there was associations with him and the faith. So I was really perplexed. I was like, what? I actually don't know what people are talking about. Like, I found it very strange. And then I came to find out that, apparently this person's always sharing gospel messages on campuses. I was just shocked, if I'm honest. That was probably my first reaction, was just confusion as to people's response, because of what I didn't know, I guess, about him. And then I can't remember the order, but I saw the video, which I wish I didn't see because it was disgusting, and very like raw, like our eyes are not meant to see stuff like that, or that stuff's not meant to happen. But yeah, I think it was just like raw, like this is crazy, probably the biggest reaction, and then confusion that later settled down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, my first reaction when I heard the news was like I was super like really, really saddened by it. I was familiar to an extent with Charlie Kirk. He came up on my algorithm quite a lot. I knew he was a Christian. I've heard him like speak about the gospel quite explicitly, and preach the gospel in a sense quite explicitly in some of his rallies and his talks. So I agreed with a lot of his opinions as well, and his politics. Disagreed with a lot of his politics as well. But something always like kind of drew me to him. Like even when I disagreed with him, I was like, I always just felt like I just liked his boldness. So hearing the news, I was quite saddened by it. And obviously, if that happened to anyone, it's just saddening, right? But because I felt a little bit like, I kind of like this guy. Even though I disagreed with a lot of his viewpoints and stuff like that, I quite liked him. So yeah, that makes it even a little bit more saddening. I do think upon reflection, because I think in terms of the reaction afterwards, at first I was quite angry by it in terms of the people that were like, some people were like, outright just saying that he deserved it. Some people were less explicit in them saying that he deserved it, but just saying like, why are people celebrating this man for blah blah blah, or why are they making him a martyr, blah blah blah, because he has said this thing or he had these viewpoints. And at first I was just like really, really angry by it. Like this guy just got assassinated. Regardless of what you think about his politics or his views on things, like I can't believe people react like that, and I still can't believe that. But I think as time has gone on, I understand, similarly to how Zoe could see this guy on her timeline and not know he's a Christian because you just see what your timeline gives you. I could also see how, especially some of his comments, where if you were only seeing those comments, that you could have a different reaction to him passing than other people. And I've kind of, again, I'm not advocating for some of the responses, but I do understand why there is some conflict with how they view the man Charlie Kirk, especially if you were only exposed to some of his viewpoints. I talk about afterwards. So
Yeah.
yeah, very conflicting. I'm a little way more understanding again, even though I don't think it's right, I am way more understanding of people that like, actually, no, this guy felt this way about these things and I don't like that. And yes, it's sad that he passed away, but we shouldn't be making him a martyr or anything like that. But I still believe anyway, and I've had conversations with people that, yeah, as much as I might have disagreed with some of his politics and some of his views and stuff, I don't know. I don't know if a lot of his viewpoints came from as a malice place, like a lot of people might think it does. That might be controversial, even to some of the listeners on this podcast. But that's just what I see. And again, no one deserves to die like that anyway, regardless of what their views are. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
It's been so polarizing because, of course, initially when you saw what happened, I think political violence is fearful. It's scary to just because of something that you've communicated verbally, then you should be killed. I think that's just whatever side you're on, whether you agree with Charlie Kirk or whether you completely disagree with it, you must agree that no one deserves to die for their political opinions. And Charlie Kirk was a political activist, very involved in kind of young MAGA Trump, and was someone that was constantly debating, constantly at campuses, talking and trying to persuade people. But political violence is just so scary. I think the fact that whether you're on the left or the right, it's horrifying, and it dissuades people from wanting to speak up, speak their mind, and it's an act of terrorism, and it's scary. And I think my initial point was like, oh my gosh, how has this guy just been murdered just for debating or sharing his viewpoint? I think since then, it's been interesting. I think the responses from everyone has been very interesting. I mean, you saw some people who almost were rejoicing at his death, which I thought was quite scary. I know, of course, depending on where conscience is, like, do you rejoice when a despot is murdered? Sometimes some people have historically, when a world leader who was a murderer or a dictator dies, that you rejoice. But I was seeing people rejoice in ways that I thought, like, what's happened to this man is horrifying. But then there has been polarizing opinions on just so many things. And like, Lou, what's been your response? Like, how have you been able to navigate that? So like, if we're speaking frankly, like, I remember when. So the first time I saw Charlie Kirk, I didn't know much about him. All I saw is I started watching this Jubilee thing, and there was a video about, I think, one conservative versus 25 liberal students, and there's been so many. So I think Candace Owens has done one. I think there's a British Indian guy, I think it's Mehdi Hassan or something like that. He's done one.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson did
Jordan
one as well.
Peterson has done one famously. And the first one I saw him, and I remember watching this Charlie Kirk one, and I think he was talking about pro-life was his first argument, and people just go back and forth. And I thought he handled him as graciously as possible. I thought he was quite winsome and persuasive. Interesting enough, I didn't finish the video, so I'll come back to that. So when I saw he had died, I thought, oh, wow, I think this guy's a believer. And then one of my friends was just like, nah, like, you should Google him. And then I started researching more, and I thought, oh. And then the same video that I'd seen, I'd watched the rest of it, and I was just like, oh. And there was just a lot of responses. I think my initial responses I saw was that people were almost like lionizing Charlie Kirk, of like, this guy was a martyr, he's a celebrity. I mean, he's a Christian man, and a lot of people felt as if, why didn't you speak up for Palestine? So like, the same Christians that were sharing Charlie Kirk and he's been murdered weren't necessarily were the same Christians that weren't speaking about Palestine. And then also, this guy was a martyr for the faith. This guy, he died for the cause of Christ.
I'm gonna have to interrupt here. That one I don't grab, because I think even when we say, what I hope everyone agrees is that you shouldn't die for your political beliefs, we don't. When someone's assassinated, of course, when they're a political figure, we can assume that's why they're assassinated. But there've been, I can't remember who it was, there was some research into like assassination attempts and like who are the people involved. It's not helpful that I can't remember right now. If I find it, I'll try to quote it. But sometimes the reason people are targeted is because they're a famous person, and the person who is hurting, or the person that's carrying out the murder, wants to be famous, or they want to go for someone controversial. It might not be because even if we don't always think about it, it might not be because I disagree with this person, that's why I'm shooting them. Does that make sense? Like, it's people do crazy things for different reasons. Of course, it's fair enough to assume at least the fact that he was famous because he was political, that meant he was a target. But I just think it's not as simple as when people have different reactions to think that people mean, okay, it's okay for you to be killed for your beliefs, because the people who are saying that are not the killers, and the person who killed them might not have killed him for his beliefs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%, 100%.
And also, I think I'm very frustrated by the martyr language, because I think the Bible, I think it creates a binary that's unhelpful. So every Christian that is murdered is not a martyr, and every Christian that is disliked, it might not be because of their faith. And I think the Bible in 1 Peter 3 gives us a framework to understand that believers can have a terrible witness, and so you shouldn't be. It says like if you're persecuted for righteousness' sake, we count it as blessing, but you shouldn't be. You should, if you receive persecution. So I think that allows us to see that Christians can be persecuted, isn't the right word, can be disliked, can be mistreated, can be hated, but not because of their Christian witness. It could be because of a bad witness. So I think that is the framework that exists. And I think sometimes the split I've seen in how people almost said because he's a Christian, that means he was martyred. I'm like, how, what? Like this, and bear in mind, I'm also coming from a place where I haven't listened to a lot of, I don't think I've listened to all the stuff I've shall listen to him has been stuff that's very, for want of better words, distasteful, and stuff that I would characterize under, if this person's a believer, the reaction I have is certainly not to what you're saying about faith, it's to other things that you're saying that I think are really problematic and unbiblical and actually a poor witness. Now forget the fact that that's my judgment of the situation, because like I said, I've not listened to everything, do you know what I'm saying? But I have a framework. The Bible gives me a framework to be able to hold that in mind. It doesn't mean I'm saying that this person's not a believer, but like, just because you're a believer doesn't mean you're being, and you're suffering doesn't mean you're suffering for being a believer. So I think I find that, but I can understand though, if you do think that the reason that he was like a great believer with a great witness, and then he was killed because of his witness, then I get the logic. But I think the way people have articulated it has made it sound like has made it sound like 1 Peter 3 isn't there. And that's really frustrating.
Yeah, do you know what, Zoe? You just reminded me, actually. There was, I mean, I'll get to how, my initial kind of reaction in a minute, but there was a video on X that someone had posted, and it was like, I think the caption was along the lines of, "This video has given me so much comfort." And someone had made an AI generated video of like Charlie Kirk kind of waking up in heaven, like draped in the American flag and running around,
Sorry, I
and then
don't know.
like Jesus picks him up
Yeah.
and he's holding him, and they give each other a hug, and then they're looking over the world, and there's this US flag and everything. And
It's the flip.
I saw that tweet, and I just thought, what are we doing? Like,
What are we
how
doing?
did we even get here? Genuinely.
Yeah.
I guess going back to, I've always been familiar with Charlie Kirk, at least over the last maybe year and a half, because the algorithm always kind of led his tweets. I wasn't following him, but his posts always came up on my feed. So yeah, I'd say like much of what came up on my feed, I'd say I broadly agreed with. There were kind of, a lot of kind of gospel related posts, but then obviously a lot of posts that were kind of far more kind of conservative with regards to, I don't know, for example, how you carry yourself as a man, or family life, way of living, things of that nature. When the news broke, I think when I picked up my phone, I saw that he had been shot. I put my phone down. I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I remember that Charlie Kirk guy. That's crazy. Then I picked up my phone again 20 minutes later, and then the video was right there. And I thought, wow, how on earth? Like, what time are we living in? What kind of times are we living in for now this video to just be showing for millions to see? So I put my phone down, carried on with my day, and I picked up my phone again. And similar to what you guys were saying, like, I saw so many people rejoicing over it, and I just thought, man, like, it doesn't matter how much you disagree with someone, you surely cannot rejoice over someone I guess, yeah, someone dying in that kind of manner. So I think for me, I just stripped it down right at the very beginning. It was, he's got a wife, he's got 2 kids. That's really sad. They have to see this. They have to live through this. That's horrible. And then, I guess over the coming maybe 3 or 4 days after that, you started to see a lot of posts about, on one side, he's a martyr for the Christian faith. And I thought, we don't even know the killer's motives. Like, the killer might have just killed him because he didn't like what he said about LGBT rights, for example. We don't know that he's killed him because he's a Christian or because he says he's a Christian. So that was on one side. And then I guess on the other side, it was, we know, glad he's gone, he deserves to die, etc., etc. Both, I guess I was kind of grieved on both sides. But then also in the subsequent days, you started to see a lot of the things that he'd said with that, if I'm being completely honest, I'd never seen before. And I just started to think, I hadn't seen this prior. Like, what was showing up on my feed wasn't stuff like this. Which leads me to say, if I'm being completely honest, I just thought, how can I be sure he was a Christian? So I started to question my mind, like, can someone be a Christian and say these things? Which leads me to say, I mean, you can articulate the gospel all day long, but if it doesn't show fruit in your life in terms of how you love and respond to people who don't look like you, who aren't where you're from, then how can I call you a Christian? So then I started to wrestle with that for a bit. And then I thought, do you know what? Like, just put the gun down. You don't know. Like, at the end of the day, you just don't know. Like, I don't want to be the guy, was he, wasn't he? Because, if I died tonight and all of my things that I've said in the past came up on the screen tomorrow for everyone to see, some people might be some people might be questioning, was I a Christian or not?
Yeah.
They might take certain things that I said and said, yep, he said some really good things here and some other things here, and say he's not a Christian. So I had to, I think after a while I just had to get rid of X, because I just thought, I can't see all these tweets anymore.
Yeah.
And like you said, Mary, I think you used the word polarizing earlier. Like, this feels like the most polarizing kind of event
in a long time.
in a long time.
In a long time. I think
Very long time.
Yeah, the culture wars were definitely present. I
Yeah.
mean, even just things around like Christian nationalism, like he was a soldier for Christ, he was a soldier for America. And then I initially thought, I saw the clips that a lot of Christians were posting where, you've got this 2-minute clip of Charlie Kirk just talking about his profession in Christ, and what Christian's not going to kind of amen to all of these things.
Exactly.
And I was reading a lot of articles done by like, whether it was like Christianity Today or Gospel Coalition, where they were talking about Charlie Kirk as a believer and how he basically stood for what he believed in, and he was a Christian man. And then I was then watching the videos online where he's saying disparaging things, like just the things I saw about race and about affirmative action, about black women and how they've got into these political spheres not because of their competency but because of kind of policies that have been enacted by the left. And I was like, am I only feeling this way because I'm black and everyone else who's written these articles are white, so they're not as sensitive to the racial things as I am, or like just certain things he was saying that I felt was just not kind. I get that you're in a debate form, but I think there's a spirit of gentleness that comes over you as a believer. So I was just so confused. And I think the thing that was even becoming more difficult is that because so many Christians were reposting Charlie Kirk and like RIP, he's a believer. So for example, if I contrast it to Voddie, when I see like 100 people reposting Voddie, no one's turning around saying, guys, but did you not see? Whereas to the watching world, and of course we don't do things for the watching world primarily, but they kept thinking, how is this guy a Christian when he said all of these things? Is it what does that even mean for your, like, what does that mean for truth? Like, you're saying this guy's a Christian, but he said all of these things, so like, do you guys not care about the things he said that's disparaging? And it just set off, like, I remember one of my friends like messaging someone saying, hey, like, I know you said he's a Christian, he's been persecuted, but have you looked into some of the things that he said? And then they now went to go and like Google, and they were like, oh. And I agree with you, Louis, in terms of who is to know that Charlie Kirk was a believer. Who is to know we're believers? But I think because we were so quick, I'm not saying it as a negative, because I think you could be convinced by what you've seen from Charlie that he's a believer and that he really stood for Christian things. But because the world was so quick to see that, they might be thinking, right, is this what you guys, is this your like weighting scale for someone who's a Christian?
And I think
Do you?
that's
Oh, sorry.
oh sorry.
No, you guys on.
No, I was just gonna say, I guess in that sense, like, we should know, and I don't mean this in a judgment as an ultimate final say or whatever, but there's a reason why we're told to conduct ourselves a certain way, because it's by our fruits that people will know us, or that we'll know each other, or it's by our love for each other. So I think there should be an expectation that you should be able to be, oh yeah, of course this person's a believer. So I think just because believers can also have a bad witness doesn't mean there shouldn't be an expectation that you should be able to be like, oh, the way this person, and I want to distinguish between making a final judgment as if you're the Almighty and being able to say, at the very least, this is consistent with biblical Christianity, or it's not. Do you know what I mean? This is consistent with the fruit of a believer or not. I'm not even applying this specifically to Charlie Kirk, but I think sometimes there can be we can't judge anything, who know, and it's like, I mean, we have, do you know what I mean? Like, we have, as believers, we have an obligation to have a good witness. Like, that's because it should tell us something about the person that we serve. So,
Yeah,
sorry. Mhm.
because I'm gonna be a bit controversial now, yeah.
Mhm.
But do you think that it's more of a debate because we are black and naturally we are sensitive to those topics more? Do you know why I think that? Because, and rest in peace to both of them, but I know, especially in that space, someone like Voddie has similar views when it comes
Mhm.
to race.
Mhm.
But because he's a black man, obviously our sensitivity. So, like, for example, if, I don't want to really go into, because Charlie Kirk says some mad things, so it's gonna sound like I'm defending him. I'm not, but I do, or I'm not defending some of the things he has said, because I disagree with the majority of the things he said about race. Right? Let me just make that clear. But I do think his approach and his skin color means that we can take some of the stuff he says and disagree with it. And I'm not saying that you guys are necessarily calling him a racist, but there's a conversation about now, even, that whether we don't know if he's a believer or not, right? I'm not saying that you guys are saying that, but that's at least a conversation. Whereas if someone like Rody was to say similar things, and I do believe Rody would have held some of the same beliefs about DEI and affirmative action, things like that. Just from what I've heard from him, are we more? I think we as black people would be more accepting to just disagree with someone like Rody, not necessarily questioning his salvation or anything like that. We would disagree, but we wouldn't question it further than that. And I understand why. Like, by the way, I'm saying I get why we would, but is that something that we have to also question? And again, not going into, because I don't know. Charlie Kirk may have been a bold racist behind closed doors. I don't know, but
Close doors.
but I
Sorry.
mean, open doors as
Sorry.
well.
Just,
But
bro.
as in, he might be even more bold, right? Because something he said, you could still probably argue and say, no, this is not racist. These are just my views on DEI or affirmative action or reparations or wherever it is that he was talking about at that time, right? So I guess my point is, especially when, like, in what extent are we able to disagree with someone's political views, and not question, like, their salvation or their or their intent or anything like that, or whether they're racist or not.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think that's a really good question. I think the fact that this was an American heavy Republican that was killed, and it was the views from an American kind of heavy conservative Republican, means it's a complicated question to answer. But you're right, we should be able to, not that I'm not saying that you're saying, yeah, I'm not, anyway, you're raising the question, so I get what you're saying. I think we should be able to disagree and not question maybe the motive or their kind of heart behind what they're saying. So for example, there was a lot that
I guess
Voddie,
what I'm saying. Sorry to
go
stop.
on.
I guess what I'm saying
That's
is,
right.
I think, do we have a super sensitivity to it because of that? For example, right, like Charlie, for example, had very strong opinions about pro-life, for example, pro-choice. Now, someone that was pro-choice would have the same kind of, imagine a pro-choice Christian, for example, would have the same kind of things like, oh, I can't believe you spoke about that about, pro-choice or whatever, or even LGBT, or like, oh, the way this man spoke about LGBT, or transgender rights, whatever, I can't believe that this was a good man because of the stances he took against those things, right? Because there's a sensitivity. I think there's more sensitivity to those things because you identify, you attach yourself to those things.
Yeah, possibly. I
Um,
think. Sorry to interrupt again. I think. Is it the stance that they take, or is it the way that they present their stance? I think that's
Yeah,
probably the issue.
I was gonna
So,
say,
do
let's
you-
see.
so
I agree.
so I would even I get that, right? And but saying the way they have presented their stance is that, so if it's not the stance that's an issue, because again, I believe that there are a lot of people that have that stance, black and white, that we might not have the same views in terms of that person's a racist or that person's not a Christian or that person's blah blah blah. Is there room then to say, okay, if his approach to this argument was wrong, but he could still be a Christian, or
No,
he
for
could
sure.
still,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
So
for
I'm
sure.
100%.
only, I'm
Yeah,
only
yeah.
putting that to, because we're
Yeah,
having a conversation about
yeah.
whether he's a
I'm
Christian
not. I don't
and
think
it's
we're.
true,
I don't
etc.
think we're saying that. Oh, because Charlie Kirk was found to be mean spirited and that he had racist views about certain things, that he's not a Christian. I don't think
Right.
that's what we're saying. And I remember reading an article recently, actually. I think it was by Albert Mohler, that spoke about the Charlie Kirk he met 5 years ago and the Charlie Kirk he met recently weren't the same. And even Charlie Kirk was almost maturing, because at the end of the day, he was 31, and who knows when he became a Christian? Who knows what his journey was like? Some of the famous kind of statements that are racist, who knows if he's refined or repented or taken back how he said things. So there is that as well, that if he wasn't a perfect man, and maybe because he's in that kind of debate space where he's being a polemic and he's trying to get at people and persuade, that he may have said things that he may have regretted afterwards. There's so many Christians, because I'm not necessarily saying we agree with the world, because of course so many people can look at Charlie Kirk and say, and he believed this and he believed that, and we might be like, yeah, we do too, sorry. So I'm not even going to that extent with them, but I'm just looking at Charlie Kirk at times and just saying, and maybe it's just how we debate, like, I just didn't think the guy was always kind. It was like a lot of, like, it was a lot of how he said things and what he said. Like, I can't think of any pastor, especially American pastors as well, that don't have views that I may disagree with. Like, I've read a lot and said, okay, race, you might not believe this, or you might not believe white privilege, or you might find some of these statements that we put to like race uncomfortable because you don't think it's the same thing, or whether it's affirmative action or reparations. But it's the how you're doing that is how we're disagreeing, what your chief aims are.
Yeah,
And
that's
maybe
fair.
someone might have seen that and been like, you know what, Charlie Kirk did do that a lot, but in recent times, or if you give it 5 or 6 more years, he would have really, what's the word? He might have reshaped how he presented things. But a lot of what I saw, and of course I've got to be fair that I'm seeing clips, I'm seeing 2-minute clips, I'm seeing 5-minute clips. What's the fuller videos? What are the fuller
Then we'll come to
podcasts?
it.
But it was more the how as opposed to what he was saying.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I
I think
definitely
also.
saw-
Oh, yeah, go on, Zoe.
No, I was just going to add to your point, man. I definitely saw some twisted clips in that. I saw someone be like, this is the guy who said that, he hates the word empathy. Da, da, da. I watched the rest of the clip and he was like, I prefer the word compassion. I said, guys, you can't just take one clip, like, and whatever. And I think that's a reminder, hopefully, to all of us. Sorry, Emily.
No, it's cool. I think because I know none of us are trying to just spend the whole episode bashing Charlie Kirk, which we're not. But I think also one thing I give him credit for.
Very
Say again?
compassionate. So far, I feel like this has been a very compassionate and friendly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because I know I wanted to just add, I guess what he did in his final maybe 18 months to 2 years with Turning Point and all of the kind of debates around universities and speaking to young people, and obviously all of the discourse has come out since he's passed. I will definitely credit him for not being afraid to foster debate and open conversation, because I think similar to, I guess Femi kind of touched on it in a sense, but how we kind of how we converse and how we discuss things, especially when it comes to such massive kind of polarizing topics with people that we disagree with. I think that's probably more come to light now. It's come to light more since he's passed than probably ever before. So I guess all that to say, yeah, hopefully we can all reflect on how we debate. It's not even, because I think we spoke about this a while ago. There was an episode where we spoke about, I think I came out and said something like, sometimes I just don't see the point, especially social media. I don't see the point of like going back and forth over certain things. What's the point changing people's minds? But I think Charlie Kirk showed that at the very least, there is, you can create room and space to listen and have conversation. And I didn't always agree with the way he came across with certain people, but I watched, I've seen plenty of clips where he's going back and forth and, fostering at least what looks like a decent conversation with people he didn't agree with. So yeah, I think we're going to see, we've been hearing a lot more about that. But I think what kind of bothers me is, well, America's just not a real place anyway.
That
It's
place.
scary.
It's not a real
It's
place.
scary
It's not a real place.
Sorry, American
Like,
listeners, but if
Oh,
there
yeah.
are any, my mate, that is
It's scary, bruv.
honestly,
America is not good elsewhere.
honestly,
And
like,
not just I think people, because
Yeah,
I remember like
that's-
with I think quickly after his passing there was an Oxford Union president, I think to be, kind of tweeted or put in a WhatsApp group like celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, and then
crazy.
had to delete it, and then it just caused a bit of uproar from people. And I think even that, like, you're at the end of the day, maybe you would have thought Charlie believed in things that you thought was quite damaging or violent, but to celebrate, I find that quite scary. Someone, father of two, 31 years old, got a very, very long life ahead of him. Someone who debated you, and when I watched the clip, kind of debated you quite graciously, let you talk, gave you and then it's just, I think the culture wars are so huge that whatever side you land on, there's just so much fallout. But
sorry to even interrupt. So, talking of fallout, so there was this a conservative politician. I think she's a politician. She obviously, she was mourning Charlie Kirk's death, and she was basically saying, anyone that I find celebrating, if I catch you celebrating, I'm going to find out your employer and tell your employer. So she drafted up a spreadsheet of hundreds of people that she actually said, I've gone through each person, and I'm contacting each and every single one of the employers to say, by the way, this person's celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. So someone else a couple of days later took a snippet of her celebrating what was going on in Palestine and was like, is this you?
Crazy.
And I just thought, wow, like, there's genuinely no hiding.
Crazy.
Everyone just needs to face their front, genuinely.
Crazy.
I was gonna say, like, I mean, I think there are some like underlying things when it comes to death of a person, of a controversial, for want of a better person, and how believers should respond. And I think some of the common things are things that the Bible has something to say about. So, for example, I think there's a general, like, people can land on the side of don't speak ill of the dead or speak the best of the dead. Like, even if someone might have really strong, like, views against what someone have said, they may believe in this theme of don't speak ill of the dead. And I don't think the Bible speaks that way. I think the Bible is quite honest with the flaws of wicked men, of great men, of a man like David after his own heart, and the Bible will still record very, very grave sin. So I think that's an example of something that we should be careful to let the Bible tell us how it's such an easy message, like, don't speak ill of the dead. You get what I mean? Like, and it can almost feel right to a point where you might assume that it's biblical when it's not. And again, I'm not actually applying this specifically to this person, but I think it's something to just be mindful of, like, where are our default, like, leanings towards how we express stuff. Like, is it actually biblical? Like, is it biblical to say, oh, on the other side, like let's say you are of the view, wrongly or rightly, you're of the view that this man is just completely wicked and like a false believer and a false prophet. Does that mean there should be no mourning for the wickedness of? Does it mean it's not wicked that someone shot the man in the neck? Do you know what I mean? Like, is that what the Bible says? Does it mean that, if and also I think there has to be, I don't know, like I'm not saying this with the intention of being controversial, but like, is there a time when, this is a leading question because I think the answer is yes, is there a time when the people of God do rejoice when someone wicked has been taken down? Now, bear in mind, this would obviously be capped by whether it's even justified to think someone's wicked or not. Do you get what I mean? But take that point aside, when, I don't know, Pharaoh and his riders are thrown into the sea, there's a big song about it because they were the enemies of the people of God. They were wicked. They were oppressors. They used the power that God gave them to destroy and kill and whatever, this whole population, and there was rejoicing at their death. Like, these people were probably bloated in the sea drowning and people were celebrating over it. And that's not, again, I'm not saying this in a passive aggressive, like you're trying to say something but you're saying you're not saying it. I'm literally not saying that I'm not saying that this is how people should react to the death of Charlie Kirk. But what I am saying is that I do think the Bible has a framework for if someone has been, particularly oppression, I think, when like an oppressor has been overthrown. We think of so many different examples of that, and God's people rejoice, or you give thanks to God. I think that is a biblical theme, but I don't think that necessarily that doesn't necessarily mean that is applicable in this situation. But I don't know if it's fair. I think maybe that one of you guys said it, I'm not sure if it's fair to say we should never, even if someone's wicked, we should never rejoice over their death, because I think that could contradict some things in the Bible, whether or not it's applicable to this situation. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's more, is it applicable? It would
Yeah,
be more
I
my
hit that.
concern.
I'll take that.
I
that.
think it'd be more my concern. And I think there's a soberness of death around that. Yeah, after death comes judgment, and that's for all. So we will all one day die and appear before the judgment seat. So those who are rejoicing in anyone's death should really be thinking of,
what about me? Yeah.
What about me?
Olive.
But no, it's interesting. It's interesting to see how this is gonna go. Of course, the responses from Trump, and I think even at his I think it was his funeral, they had multiple people that was there, and kind of, the response is going to be swift, and we're going to act out, and yes, it'll be interesting to see, of course, the political landscape of America, and a lot of the time when these things do impact America, you see the ripple effect in the rest of the world. Of course, there was I don't think we'll have time to talk about it, but there was the EDO. I don't think it was called the EDO. There was a rally that happened.
What a day.
Yeah, and even today, for example, there was an attack in a Jewish synagogue in Manchester. So you're just seeing kind of
horrible.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was an attack. I think there was 4 people died, or 2
I think
people
it's 2
died.
people.
2 people died. 2 people died.
two.
Yeah, 2 people died. So yeah, 2 men were killed in an attack at a Manchester synagogue. So again,
just crazy, man.
yeah, there's a lot happening in the world. This is quite a sobering episode, guys.
It is.
Honestly,
Very
what a way to
sobering.
come back.
What a way to come back. Literally, our first episode
Bro.
is just...
The world's been so dramatic.
There's been too much going on.
Yeah,
There's
there has
way
been
too
too
much
much
going on.
going on. There's been too much going on. But
I
yeah,
guess the Bible teaches us to pray for his kingdom to come, for Jesus to come.
Yeah, definitely.
facts.
Maranatha, like, take us out of this world. Bring his
Haven't
Yeah.
heard that word
kingship
before.
where there's none of this. No murder, no death, no death. All of it's finished. That's what we want.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, there's so much to say, but like, I think just how accessible this stuff is what's scary for me. Like, we
didn't
open
need
up
to do
social
that.
media and it's there. It's happening right in front of us.
A man
for me,
died.
it's just scary.
Like, it's crazy.
And we're
Yeah, I
watching
haven't
his
seen the
wife
video,
mourn
but I'm
him.
no bad to see
We
that
have
video.
no-
Yeah, honestly.
It's
Honestly.
horrendous.
On that.
We're watching his wife mourn him,
It's
like, for the whole world to
horrible.
see.
His children.
Her responses are getting scrutinized. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a yeah. Just gonna we should just get rid of the internet. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Honestly, sometimes.
Yeah, now we're talking.
Just get rid of the internet. But
Honestly.
Touch grass.
Apparently,
Touch
that might be
grass.
happening soon. I don't know if you guys
As the
have heard
kids say, touch grass.
the conspiracy theory of like a pending like blackout, national grid blackout.
You are.
Yeah.
What
Have
side
you
of
guys
the
heard of
internet are
that?
you on?
Literally. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind.
Say that again.
Oh, my algorithm. I said there's a prediction that there's gonna be
From
some
who?
kind. Listen, you're asking too
Is it
much.
the same person
It's
that
a
predicted
It's a
the
bit like the
rapture?
rapture. A bit like
Is
the
it the same
rapture.
person that predicted the
guys,
rapture?
Oh yeah, the
what was
American
that
rapture.
about?
I can't
I
explain
take
it.
all
Yeah,
right. It was
Christians.
just
Anyway, sorry. This is
London.
we're going over time now, but yeah,
Bro,
it's just
Yeah,
it's a
but
crazy world right about now.
maybe next time to what the rapture,
Yeah, there's more than enough to
100%.
talk about. That's for sure.
bruh.
I came back for you
100%.
guys, man.
You say you came back
What?
to us?
I came back for you so we could record a podcast.
I'm silly.
I was like, don't rapture me yet, man. You've got a live show.
That's
We
it.
do. That's a great way. That's a great
How
announcement.
great.
That's a
Great
great
What a segue.
announcement.
What
Yes,
a
guys, we have a live show coming up in December 2025. More details to be released shortly. We have a live show. If you love Black Berea, if you want to support us, live show happening in December. We will confirm the date.
Confirmed
They'll do it by the
soon.
next episode.
Hopefully
So yeah.
next episode, yeah.
If you want to support, if you want to sponsor us, please send us an email. Contact us on the socials. But yeah, live show December 2025. Be there.
Guys, don't make the fact that I came back from the rapture go to waste, please.
Actually need a title.
We came back for this.
Bro,
I came back for this, man.
I think we can finish there, right?
Yeah,
Wrap it up.